With over 70 days until the preseason testing kicks off, teams are in for a wild ride. But here's the kicker: they're not allowed to test their current cars. But wait, there's a twist. These rule changes are no joke. They're throwing in some serious curveballs that'll shake things up. Want to know more about these game-changing modifications? Dive into this video for all the juicy details. Strap in, because this season is gearing up to be one wild ride. The 2023 Formula One season in Abu Dhabi just finished, and people are getting ready for the 2024 season. Max Verstappen and Red Bull did really well this year, but McLaren and Ferrari improved their cars towards the end. In 2024, Alfa Romeo will change its name because their sponsorship is ending. They'll become the Stake F1 Team Kick Sauber team in 2024, and later change to the Audi team in 2026. Red Bull's junior team, Alpha Tauri, will also change its name in 2024. They might go back to their old name, Toro Rosso, or possibly be called Racing Bulls. Although there aren't many big changes for 2024, it'll have a record-breaking 24 races, making it the largest year for the championship. The 2024 F1 season starts on the 29th of February. It's special because there will be 24 races, the most ever in a single season. The FIA, which oversees F1, arranged the races in different parts of the world to be more eco-friendly. They moved the Japanese Grand Prix from September to April, creating an Asian section in the calendar. Excitingly, the Chinese Grand Prix is coming back after being off the F1 list for the past 4 years. There's a change in the F1 schedule. The Qatar Grand Prix is now the second to last race, helping drivers cope with hot weather they faced in 2023. Also, moving all the cars and gear to the final race in Abu Dhabi will make things easier. Cool, right? Now, before the 2024 F1 season starts on February 29th, teams can test their cars in Bahrain from February 21st for 3 days. It's a chance to make sure everything works well before the first race. The testing hours are now 10 in the morning to 7 in the evening, different from last year's schedule, which went until 7:30 in the evening. The big bosses of F1, the FIA, made this change to be more eco-friendly and sustainable. What's neat is that both the testing and the first race happen in Bahrain, reducing the need to move cars and equipment around too much. Smart move, right? As for when teams will reveal their 2024 F1 cars, those dates aren't out yet. Last year, they revealed their cars between January 31st and February 16th. Testing starts on February 21st, 2 days earlier than before, so teams might unveil their new cars a bit earlier this time. In the 2024 F1 season, there are some rule changes. The FIA made adjustments about testing older cars. Now, according to the updated rules, cars can only use parts and software that have been used in a previous competition or testing during the championship season. This prevents teams from putting completely new parts on old cars to get an unfair advantage during testing. Regarding the primary new rules for F1 in 2024, there's a change in tire testing called the Pirelli tests. Pirelli requested more days to collect data for tire development. So instead of 35 days, there will be 40 days dedicated to this. Additionally, there will be 4 extra days specifically for testing wet weather tires. This change aims to address drivers' complaints about issues with wet tires and improve driving in wet conditions. Efforts are ongoing to improve drivers' visibility by developing splash guards. The first trial in July at Silverstone didn't work well, so there's a new design being tested in May. Based on feedback, the FIA will decide whether to use anti-spray devices in 2025 or maybe delay until 2026 when new rules come in. They're trying to make smart decisions based on how well the new design works. Now, about filming days. Teams use these for promotional events to show off their new cars. Normally, they're allowed to drive up to 100 kilometers, but starting from 2024, they can go twice that distance in a single day. Moving on to testing with older cars, teams can have private tests during the season using cars that are at least 2 years old. In 2024, they can use ground effect cars for the first time. This gives a great chance for young or reserve drivers to learn and get experience with these cars. These testing days are valuable for drivers to get more time behind a wheel of a Formula One car. The Federation has made some changes. Now teams must use materials that were already used in an official session of the 2022 test or Grand Prix. This stops teams from trying new things during these days to gather data for the 2024 Formula One car. Apart from these main new rules, there are other decisions coming in. Firstly, there won't be any more Grand Prix events with fewer sets of tyres available. They used to give only 11 sets instead of 13 for a whole weekend in 2023, but complaints from drivers and teams led to abandoning this idea. It didn't add to the excitement of the race. The plan to get rid of heating blankets has been delayed until at least 2026. That means for the next 2 years they'll continue using them like they do now. Also, to handle extremely hot conditions like what happened at the Qatar GP, cars will be allowed to open up ducts in the nose for better airflow and cooling in the cockpit. Changes to metal parts on the car's floor aim to make things safer for the drivers. There are also small changes to the financial limits to help teams deal with financial challenges they've faced. Looking ahead to the 2026 season, there's a big decision. Teams can't start developing the 2026 car until the start of 2025. This means they can't physically start making the car until the year before it's supposed to be used, even though they might work on prototypes using computer simulations. To make sure the new car is well prepared, its production is delayed. Formula One is also thinking about changing the sprint race format for the 2024 season. Teams and bosses like this idea, but it's not final yet. They're talking with the FIA about it, and discussions will continue into January. They've already made some changes to sprint weekends in the 2023 season. For example, the race had a separate qualifying session that didn't decide the Grand Prix grid. Also, the teams had different rules from practice onwards. Now they're discussing more changes for 2024. One idea is to have qualifying for the Grand Prix in the afternoon and the sprint race in the morning. They might also have another qualifying session on Friday after the first practice session. Regarding reserve drivers for 2024, some teams are keeping their 2023 reserve drivers, like Red Bull with Liam Lawson and Mercedes with Mick Schumacher. But McLaren is introducing new reserve drivers, Ryo Hirakawa and IndyCar driver Pato O'Ward. The call for a reverse grid in sprint races to enhance competitiveness and unpredictability in Formula One has sparked debate among fans. While some advocate for this change, citing the potential for thrilling comebacks, others criticize the frequent rule changes implemented by the FIA. Advocates argue that introducing a reverse grid system in sprint races could inject excitement into the championship. This format could lead to thrilling battles as top drivers like Max Verstappen showcase their skills by navigating through the pack from the back. It might create new strategic elements and add unpredictability to the races, potentially attracting more fans to the sport. However, critics express concerns about the frequency of rule changes. They emphasize that while evolution in F1 is necessary for maintaining competitiveness and viewer engagement, a balance must be struck to avoid undermining the essence of the sport. Continuous alterations might create instability, making it challenging for teams to adapt and diminishing the significance of technical mastery over time. F1 has a history of adapting rules to keep the sport dynamic and engaging, yet it's equally crucial to consider the implications of these changes. The FIA's responsiveness to fan feedback is commendable, reflecting a commitment to improving the spectacle of racing. However, it's essential to implement changes thoughtfully, ensuring they enhance the sport's essence without compromising its integrity. Regarding suggestions for handicapping winning cars akin to horse racing, while innovative, it requires careful consideration. Implementing handicaps could potentially create an artificial level playing field, but might also raise questions about fairness and the true merit of victory in a sport known for technical prowess and driver skill. What do you think of these new F1 2024 rules? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more updates.